Go down. Get somebody. Go down. Get somebody. Go down.
Welcome to another Doggone Podcast here in the CEC studios. I'm your host, Mike the Mad Dog. Today's episode is sponsored by Banks Automotive and Engineering. My good friend Jay Banks, I'd like to thank him personally for sponsoring this episode. And my guest, per usual, seems like a common thing here, but I can't get enough of talking to him, is Mr. Coach Pete Cordelli. How are you, sir?
Mad Dog, I'm doing great. I know you are too, man, after that performance by the Bulldogs against the Alabama Crimson Tide, as the Bulldogs just dominated them.
Yeah, I mean, from the get-go. I'm going to ask you a question. That game, 2 words, how would you describe that game?
Totally awesome.
So you were looking forward to Georgia winning that ball game?
Well, I just believe that Kirby, I feel good for Kirby in this Georgia program after losing to Alabama so many times, especially with the way they've come back and just couldn't quite get the deal finished at the end. This one was a no-doubter. Georgia left no doubt as to who the best team was on that field on Saturday night, and it was the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, they dominated that game in all 3 phases and then some. So, Zachariah Branch, everybody was excited about him transferring from Southern Cal. Man, in the biggest moments, on the biggest stage, that's when you need your guys to step up. Branch did it. Gunner did it. I mean, the defense came through and just absolutely to shut Alabama out for 3 quarters. And, I know the touchdown there at the end, but it's 21-0 going in the 4th quarter. And there is no doubt in anyone's mind Georgia's going to win this going away. So SEC champions again. This is the 9th SEC championship game that Georgia has played in the last 10 years. The only year they didn't play in it was 2020, and that was Alabama, Florida. But other than that, Georgia's been in it. So what a credit it is to Kirby, this program, and then for those players to step up. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't just like a cleansing. It was like a total exorcism of any Alabama demon that was plaguing them. I mean, I really don't think, and a lot of people say, it was in his head, because Kirby, I figured when Saban lost that with DeBoer, Kirby would be able to win. It didn't. He lost to him twice. And I thought maybe it was just an Alabama thing or something. But I'm wondering, do you think that monkey is completely off their back now? Do you think he's worried about Alabama anymore?
He will be next year if they play, when they'll play him again. Sure, because Alabama, look, Kirby came from Alabama. He knows what went into building that program with Nick and that staff. And so he's brought as much of that as he could to his alma mater, the Georgia Bulldogs. And now he's just added on. But you hold any team in America to -2 yards rushing, that is unbelievable. And let alone Alabama.
Yeah.
-2 yards or 3, whatever. I don't care. It's still negative.
Yeah. I think it was -3.
Yeah, -3. That's what it was, not 2, -3. But, that's below the Mendoza line, as they say in baseball. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby said he sat in a defensive room and he, all year long, and since this was such a young team, he heard the coaches say, as soon as you guys, buy into this, as soon as you guys, understand what we're doing, it's going to click and it's going to work. And he said they finally, like the light bulb went off, they finally figured out, what to do, and they absolutely dominated on the that defense, to me, looked like a defense that was worthy of Georgia. It didn't look like that for a while, but this is starting to look like a real Kirby Smart Georgia defense.
And, Mike, I got to tell you, college football, we've talked about on the show before, is behind the 8 ball compared to high school and the NFL. And the reason I say that, in high school, you have preseason scrimmages and jamborees, which you can kind of fit your team and see who's going to do what before you open the season. NFL, obviously, they have 3 preseason games. In college football, you have to be ready to go on Labor Day weekend in that first game. And now with the transfer portal, spring practice is so watered down, you really don't know if a guy is going to absolutely be like a heat-seeking missile and go do what he's got to do to get things done on a consistent basis until you get into live games. So it takes the month of September for college football teams to figure out the chess match, where the pieces go, who's fitting into our scheme. Then you combine that with new coaches. How are these players reacting to new voices? And that's the one thing I credit Georgia with, is the continuity of the staff. People talk about culture all the time. It's about establishing what the standards are. And you either live up to that standard or you don't. And the guys that don't, see you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But those other guys that do. So in September, it's the chess match. Well, this fits here and this. And then the one thing coaches and players don't control, injuries. Bobo not playing in that game as your center, he's got to make those line calls and do the things. But I'm going to tell you, the backup kid did a great job. And I know Bobo's helped them all along. But the Georgia offensive line finally coming together for the last 3 weeks, being healthy, other than now Drew Bobo. This defense, understanding schemes, calls, communication. And when Kirby says, yeah, I sat in the room and I understand we were young, but guess what? By your 11th and 12th game, those sophomores, they should be thinking like juniors. Those freshmen aren't freshmen anymore.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I got to tell you, that kid number 10 on defense, the outside backer, wow. I mean, he is dynamite. The two number 10s are both freshmen. Number 10, the tight end, and number 10, the outside backer. Those guys are stars of the future for Georgia. But in a collective combined unit, this team dominated in every which way. And I promise you, a number of folks around the country said Alabama's got 3 losses. And in this particular championship game, is Alabama going to get in? And that was the big controversy on Sunday night, and it's been going on all week. But my question, and I've read this confusing criteria of the CFP committee. First thing they base it on is conference champions, right? So I look at the rankings coming out. Oh, Indiana, they're number 1. Yeah, they're the conference champ, the Big Ten conference champ. They beat Ohio State, shut Ohio State out in the second half. Then I look at them going, wait a minute. Why is Ohio State 2 and Georgia 3? Georgia should be number 2. Texas Tech should be 3. Ohio State should be 4.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is really confusing. Georgia, they got the Alabama demon off their back in a big way, dominated. They won the SEC, and yet you have 2 Big Ten teams ahead of them. I understand Indiana. I don't understand Ohio State being 2, Georgia 3. And then as good as Texas Tech is, Ohio State should have been 4. So then you go to strength of schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, so I look up the national strength of schedule rankings as they come out on Monday after all the games are played. Notre Dame's 11. And they're not in. So everybody's making this deal out about Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame plays 5 games in the ACC. That's like having a minority business partner in your business. You want everybody to do well. So why last week would the ACC conference office on the ACC network replay Miami Notre Dame? It wasn't Miami and Notre Dame. If I'm the ACC, I want Notre Dame in with Miami. That game they should have been replaying is Florida State, Alabama.
Yeah. Look,
So everybody's, Mike, there's just, it's so convoluted. And they changed the goalposts. They changed the rules for how they're going to get teams. But when Alabama didn't move down a couple weeks ago, something was going on with the committee. I know I got long-winded there, but
No, don't.
There's been a
Believe
lot of
me,
things-
I know
a lot of things
the
building
committee. The committee,
I'm-
I don't understand them at all. I don't understand anything about them. Like you said, every year things change. You know, they try to say that conference championship losses don't affect you. Well, one time it affected Georgia. Georgia dropped 4 spots, and they only lost by 3 points. And then Alabama gets absolutely boat raced by Georgia, doesn't drop at all.
And then Georgia wins,
yeah.
and Ohio State loses, and Georgia's 3 and Ohio State's 2. What?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, all Indiana and Ohio State did was flip flop. They just went from 1 to 2.
And let me tell you what, Indiana was the more physical team, and Ohio State, they're not as physical as Georgia. Let's get to the point. All right, we used to have seven criteria that we had to meet to win a football game, and then the last 2 bullet points: don't flinch and be the most physical team on the field. Georgia didn't flinch, and they were the most physical football team on the field. Georgia is more physical than Ohio State. I hope we see Georgia, Indiana in the national championship game, because that's going to be a Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, one for the ages, I believe.
I would like to see that too, and I'd like to see Georgia win it all. But I'm biased when it comes to that. But I mean, honestly, I want to talk about the 4 that did make that 4 that did make it here, like Texas Tech. You think Texas Tech? I mean, they've certainly proved something. I mean, that coach, didn't he used to coach high school last year?
Joey McGuire, yeah, he's from Texarkana, Texas, right on the Texas-Arkansas line. He was a high school coach in the state of Texas before he got into the college ranks, and he won his state championship. He played for, I think, 4 state champions, 3 or 4, but the one year he did win it was his 4th year at a 6A school, and they went 16-0. They went undefeated. Joey McGuire is one of the most highly respected high school coaches in the state of Texas, and that's strong, as good as that state is. Joey's an excellent coach, but we all know what Texas Tech did in the portal, going to get the defensive end from Stanford, who's really a good player. The Rodriguez kid is a linebacker, and they're well coached. But, dog, I want to say this to you. Texas Tech, at the end of the year in the final rankings, they are 3rd nationally in scoring offense, averaging 42.5 points a game, and they are 3rd nationally on defense. They only give up 11 points a game. They have earned to be in the top 4. They've definitely earned it.
Yeah. Let me ask you something about Ohio State and that performance against Indiana. They only scored 11 points. And, from what I'm looking down here, Julian Sayin is supposed to be on a Heisman Trophy list. His performance wasn't that great in that game.
Well, Ohio State hasn't been tested all year.
No, their schedule.
You talk about a
really
cupcake schedule now. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the bottom half of the Big Ten. Ew, golly, cupcakes. Ooh, you look up cupcake in the dictionary, and you got the bottom half of the Big Ten right there to define it.
Yeah,
and here's my other point about Julian Sayin. What school did he leave? Where did he transfer from to go to Ohio State? Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. Alabama.
You know
Crimson
why?
Tide.
Because he couldn't beat out Ty Simpson. Let's get down to what this is all about. This is about competition and earning your way.
Yeah.
But the question mark became, after Chip Kelly left and went to the Raiders, and they moved up Hartline to be the offensive coordinator, the question was going to become, could Sayin carry this team to another national championship? And early in the year, they beat Texas 14-7. That was the first game of the year. Come on, man. Early in the year, after about the first 5-6 games, you read things and you hear things, and it's like, is Ohio State ever going to take the training wheels off for Sayin when you got Cornell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, 2 of the best receivers in the country? They're not pushing the ball down the field. So I started watching it a little bit, and I'm going, what's going on that you have 2 of the most explosive receivers on the same team, and they aren't making explosive plays? Ohio State didn't really blow anybody out. And I'm going back and I'm watching the protection and the offense, And I'm going, I don't know how Sands going to do when people start getting pressure on him. And sure enough, Coach Signetti and that defense in the second half. I got to tell you right now, the number 2 ranked defense in the nation, nationally, Indiana.
Yeah.
And they got Texas Tech is 3, Indiana's 2. So all of a sudden you're going, they found a way to get pressure, and Sane really didn't handle it very well.
I want to circle back to something. That SEC championship game, Gunnar Stockton got the MVP for that game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was, we were talking about, him earlier, a week earlier with Georgia Tech not looking that great. He did not even seem like he was nervous. Everything was working his way. Everything. He threw that one pass in a tight window back to Dylan Bell in the back of the end zone. I mean, I honestly thought the Alabama guy got it. And
I mean, that was a heck of a throw. But, I mean, Gunner's 20 of 26 throwing the football in the game. 77% completion rate.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. I mean, 77%? Wow. In a championship game? Now, I will say this. I'm a little concerned. I was a little concerned when the big nose guard from Alabama had the sack on Gunner and fell on him. And Gunner stayed on the ground, and he kind of flinched a little bit. And it took him a while to get off the ground. And I'm going, he's hurt. Somehow, he's feeling that hit. I mean, 340 falling on you is like a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got another hit. So this time off is going to help Gunner Stockton get healthy before they have to play on January 1st in the Sugar Bowl.
As a former quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator, is Gunnar Stockton the kind of quarterback that you would feel comfortable coaching and rely on?
Would love to.
You'd love to have him. You can rely on him to actually, get you all the way to the end of the championship game.
It's the quarterback's. It's not the quarterback's job to win every game. It's the quarterback's job not to lose the game.
Yes.
You can't. Our number one criteria in evaluating quarterbacks, all my years, decision-making. I can make you stronger. I can make you a little quicker. But unless you can make that decision quickly and correctly, that comes from years of experience. His background from high school, and congratulations, he had his jersey retired at Raven Gap earlier in the year. He was coached extremely well coming out of high school. I don't need a quarterback to stand back there and go, I'm going to force this predetermined where I'm going with the ball. And there's 3 different color jerseys around my receiver and try to force it in. That's ball. They talk about ball security. Well, for running backs, receivers, tight ends, it's real easy. It's don't fumble. It's how you protect the ball. Index finger, elbow, ribs, ball never comes away from the body. For a quarterback, that's true when he's running. But when a quarterback is passing the football, don't throw it into coverage. The other thing, quarterbacks today, with defenses the way they get pressure, have to make accurate throws under duress with consistency. Can't be a one-time deal. Oh, my gosh, he threw it up. We made the catch. No. You're going to have, look, there's some receivers. The Brazel kid at Tennessee, he's going to win the 50-50 ball because he's so darn big and strong. But can you make a throw when a linebacker's coming in your face and you're staring down that barrel? Can you get the ball going to your guy on the run? Gunner does that. Look at what he did at Tennessee. He had to make 2 big-time throws. The 4th down throw in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown, and then the 2-point play. He makes the right decision under pressure. The game doesn't get too big for him. I think in the last 5 games for Alabama, Ty Simpson started to try to make plays that weren't there. He's had 6 turnovers in the last 5 games at Alabama. He didn't do that early in the year. So when you compare both quarterbacks, Gunner is the guy I'd like to coach. Would I love to? Heck yeah, I'd love to coach him because he's making the right decisions And when he has to run the football, he knows what he's got to do. All quarterbacks have to know time, score, situation.
Yes.
So if it's 3rd and 8, in our passing game, we always used to add a term for the receivers. It'd be like slant curl sticks. So we'd have slant on the outside, slant flat, with the inside receiver. But if it's 3rd and 8, those guys are aiming for 10 on the route. Sticks just means go 2 yards past what we need for the first down. So you tag it. When anybody hears sticks, now the old line hears sticks, and that's like, okay, we got to hold our block just a little bit longer in protection to give our receivers a chance to get to the depth they need. So when those other 10 guys in that huddle hear sticks tagged to the play call, they know they got to be stronger on protection, hold it a count and a half longer to give your quarterback time to throw it and get the first down. And I mean, Gunner's made great progress. And I credit that to Mike Bobo.
Yes.
Mike, as a coach, you have to know your KYP, buddy. Know your personnel. KYP.
Yeah, they had a pretty good relationship because I remember he was at South Carolina with Bobo. When Bobo came over to Georgia, I think Gunner followed him over there because he wanted to play for Bobo.
Yep.
And I think that relationship is pretty strong. And speaking of quarterbacks, I'm going to talk about this Heisman Trophy candidate list here. There are 3 quarterbacks on here and only 1 running back. Now, I know who you want to win the Heisman Trophy. And I know. We got the Indiana quarterback Mendoza. We got Julian Sayin. We got Pavia from Vanderbilt. And we've got your guy, running back Love for Notre Dame. Now, who do you think should win this Heisman Trophy?
I coached the last Heisman Trophy winner at Notre Dame. I coached Tim Brown, 1987. I should have had another one in 1990 in Rocket Ishmael. But the committee gave it to the guy from BYU who couldn't throw it in the ocean standing on the beach.
I've heard you tell this story before.
But anyway, Rocket Ishmael should have won it in 90. But I think Jeremiah Love is the best. If we're truly giving the award to the best player in college football, Jeremiah Love has had an unbelievable year. Not only running it, catching it, he's a threat. He's a 3-down back in the NFL. He's not going to be a first, second down, and they have to take him out because he can't catch the ball. He's good in protection. Jeremiah is not going to win it, even though that would be my selection. The next guy is going to be Pavia because he has done 2 years. He's done an incredible job at Vanderbilt. But the guy I believe is going to win it is Mendoza. That hit he took on the first play of the game against Ohio State. I mean, I thought he was out.
Yes.
And then he comes back in and they go down and win. And his first quarter wasn't very good, and I understand that. But man, for the next 3 quarters and what his body of work is at Indiana for Coach Signetti, I think Mendoza's going to win it. Pavia will probably be second because of the vote. You know, they go first place, second place, third place in the voting.
Yeah.
Jeremiah is going to be third. I don't know why Sands there, but
I don't know why either. I want to.
Well, it's Ohio State. You know,
I want to talk to you about Notre Dame opting out of the playoffs. Well, not the playoffs. We're opting out because they didn't make the playoffs. I think that's. Yep. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but you know, it's their decision to make. But I know Notre Dame's kind of personal to you. I want to hear your thoughts on if they made the right decision or not.
This isn't the first time Notre Dame's opted out of a bowl game. When Dan Devine was the head coach and when Ara Parseghian was the head coach, they opted out of bowl games back in the late 60s and early 70s because they didn't feel like they had a representative team that could win the national championship in a bowl game.
Yeah.
When you go to Notre Dame to coach, the first thing you are told, you know we're not in a conference. Every game we play is for the national championship. We're not in the East. We're not in the West divisions. We're not in the North. We're not in the South. We're not going to a conference championship game and then hope we get in. Every game we play is for the national championship. This team was led to believe they were going to be in the field. And I go back to my statement earlier in the show. They lose 2 games to 2 teams that are in now, Texas A&M and Miami, by a total of 4 points.
Yeah.
That was in September. The defense, new coordinator, Chris Ash. Teams evolve and develop. Like we talked about Georgia, evolving and developing. Indiana. Notre Dame, when they found out they weren't in on Sunday, they had a team meeting. Coach Freeman has a leadership council. He met with the leaders, and they all said, Coach, why should we go to a bowl game that has no impact on winning the national championship when we've got about, I think it's 10 to 12 guys going to the NFL? We've seen players in the past, even though it's 1 or 2, that have opted out of a bowl game because they didn't want to get injured getting ready for the NFL. Last year, Marshall didn't go to a bowl game because half their team left with their head coach to go to Southern Miss, Charles Huff.
Yeah.
Iowa State and Kansas State both lost their head coaches 2 weeks ago. And both ADs, the one at Iowa State and the one at Kansas State, went in and had a team meeting and said, without the head coaches being here, who's going to opt out of the bowl? And in both rooms, over 80% of the guys said, we're not playing. Our head coach isn't here. We're not playing in a bowl game. So getting back to Notre Dame, Coach Freeman then had a meeting with the AD, Pete Bavacqua. He said, here's where we are. Players, they've talked to their teammates, and they've got a number of guys saying, nope, I'm not playing in a bowl game. Why would I go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl and risk an injury when I can get ready for the NFL draft? Because this bowl game has no meaning for what we play for, what our standard is.
Yeah, that's true.
So all these people that say Notre Dame's making a mistake, it looks bad, be part of the solution. That's my statement to you. Don't be part of the problem. So you come out and you rip Pete Bavacqua, the AD, and you rip this team. Tell me what you would do if you were the AD or head football coach at Notre Dame.
Well, you talked to me and you said on more than one occasion you think the committee causes more problems than they solve.
They have created more problems this year than they solved. But for Notre Dame, and this is the way it is at a number of schools, Georgia being one, Alabama being another, Tennessee, when they lost Nico. What did Josh Heupel come out and say? Hey, nobody's bigger than the power team. You're protecting the brand.
Yeah.
Remember when LSU went to a bowl game a few years ago and only had so many guys, and that was embarrassing.
It didn't look good. You're right. That didn't look good at all.
So if you are truly concerned about the players first, and I've always been about players first, what's best for the players? You present both sides, the positives, the negatives. But the bottom line is, so Notre Dame goes to the Pop-Tarts Bowl and beats BYU, who they were scheduled to play. What does that do? Other than all the networks want to use Notre Dame. Oh, we got Notre Dame because it's the brand. At Notre Dame, you got to protect the brand like other schools do. So if it's best for the players, I'm for them. You know why? They're the ones who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Yeah, as long as the players were on board with it, I mean, I guess there's nothing else much you can do. You don't want to go out there with like half your team. You know, yeah,
Those kids.
I can understand it, but you're right. The whole thing is, this is what my friend and I were talking about earlier before I came on the podcast. They need to stop all these Tuesday night rankings, because all it does is give everybody false hope. That's all it does. What they needed to come out with, because if they hadn't had all those Tuesday night rankings, then they never would have saw that Alabama didn't move. You know, that all they did was flip flop. At the end of the year, that's all you need to see. You don't need to see anything else. You need to see what they came up with at the end of the season after the conference championship games, and this is your bracket. This is your bracket right here. You don't need to see all this other stuff because it's subject to change. I don't know why they do it.
Mike, and here's the other thing. I want SEC fans to understand this. They created more haters for the ACC, this committee did, by the decision they made to put Alabama in. First team with 3 losses.
Yeah.
When Mack Rhodes, the head of the committee, was dismissed from his job at Baylor, who did they move up? Hunter Yurchek, the AD at Arkansas, SEC guy. We got SEC wanting 5 spots next year in the playoffs. And the rest of the country's going, no. You and the Big Ten aren't going to determine 10 of the selections with 5 and 5. The decision that was made created more issues around the country. So when you have people saying, it just means more in the SEC. No, it doesn't. They bought their way in. They influenced Yurchek. And I don't care how many times he comes out and denies it. The optics are bad. They're bad. The SEC gets, well, you know, who does Yurchek answer to? Greg Sankey. Yeah, he does. Well, do the right thing for the players. And again, I go back, the ACC didn't help it by playing the Miami Notre Dame game and well, we went back and what? If I'm running the committee, I'm going to run it like my football staff.
Yeah.
You, Georgia Dog, Bill, whoever's on our committee. You know what we're going to do every Monday when we come in on those meetings? We're going to sit in one room, 12 guys or 12 people, whoever's in that committee. We're going to watch the tape together, just like we do after a game. Watch the tape together. What do you think? Grade it. They don't do that. They do individual stuff.
Well,
how do I know what a guy's thinking? Yet we bring them in to Dallas or Fort Worth, wherever the heck they do it. Everybody needs to come in and watch games together rather than individually. I want your input. Mad Dog, why did you think this was the right way or this wasn't the way to do it? Bill King, Georgia Dog, Hap Hines, whoever's on our committee, let's talk as one body. Now, as all coaches tell you, we go in, it's like in recruiting. We talk about a player, a lot of opinions, but when we walk out that door, we're together. And guess what? I hate human committees because there's too much bias. There's too much emotion. There's too much that we owe this, we owe that.
I don't like them either.
The Mountain West 2 weeks ago had 4 teams tied for the championship. You know what they did? They went back and used the BCS computer model, and they came up with Boise State and UNLV. The ACC could have done that rather than having a 7-5 team in Duke playing Virginia. And you know what? I'm all for, I'm going to say it again. I want to go back to the BCS, put the information into the computer, whatever algorithm, analytics, whatever term you want to use. All you Silicon Valley dudes who run this stuff. Here's the deal.
Yeah,
give us the information. Who are the 12 best teams? Saban said it the other day. Just give us the 12 best teams. Well, you're not going to get the 12 best teams with the criteria that has been set by this committee and this group of humans who who knows who the hell they're talking to? Excuse me, my language.
No, that's fine.
But
Look, I agree. It gets me fired up too. I think they change everything every year.
I got a bias towards Notre Dame. I mean, my gosh, spent 5 years there. My youngest daughter was born there. She was baptized by Father Hesburgh in a log. I mean, it was some life-changing moment. And we won the national championship in 88. Should have won it in 89 and 90. But man, what a run. And now when I see Marcus building the program back, and you see those players, and they went 10-0. I believe college football can learn a lot from the college basketball committee. Number one, we talk about strength of schedule. Just last week, we saw the ACC SEC basketball schedule, right? Challenge.
Yeah.
We saw some great basketball. You can do that in college football and not worry about how your scheduling is. Go ACC, SEC for 2 years, home and home. Big 10, Big 12 for 2 years. Then rotate it. So a group of 4 conferences always playing another. The second thing, the basketball committee puts emphasis on the last 10 games played. There's about 30 games in college basketball. So the last 10 is 1/3 of your schedule. In college football, with 12 games being played, or 13, the last 4 games is 1/3. How did you play in the last 4 games?
Look, I agree with everything that you're saying. There's no doubt some changes need to be made. They need to put it back to the computer. And I wish we had more time to talk about it, but I'm going to have to wrap it up. I apologize.
Oh, I thought we were going to a 5 tonight.
No, we're not. We're not doing that. But I appreciate it. Look, you can. Hey, you can talk to me. You can call me. We'll talk about this on the car ride home. It's fine with me. Listen, I want to thank everybody for watching another doggone podcast. I'd like to thank Banks Automotive Reconditioning for sponsoring this episode. This has been another doggone podcast, and doggone it, I'm out.